Greetings, brothers and sisters. So one of my viewers sent this to me yesterday. It's a forgotten story about a once young and virile Alec P. Baldwin who had a relationship with a woman, then claimed that she stalked him and sent her to jail and cried in court. Somehow I missed this story, but it's kind of funny, now more than ever.
Alec Baldwin dramatically broke down on Tuesday in a New York courtroom as he recalled how his alleged stalker made him fear for his life.
Fake, 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 fake.
Don't point that thing at your head there. He cried in courtroom how he feared for his life. It probably looked a little bit like this.
Worked with and admired.
Yeah, it looked a lot like that. Alex is prone to crying.
Fake, 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 fake.
I'm going to try to get all my Alec P. Baldwin memes in here if I can.
Just minutes after she screamed out that the actor was a liar for denying they had a sexual relationship.
So she was an extra on his set, and, Alex is dangerous on the sets of movies.
I'd light up a couple usually when I was working, because I'm so nervous when I'm shooting to get the job done. When I was shooting, or just stupid behavior. When I'm shooting.
And I've said loud and clear that I'm innocent since day one.
Alec Baldwin left the court after he broke down in tears.
So he left the court after breaking down in tears. This woman went to jail.
As he gave testimony during the trial of his alleged stalker.
There's that evil, demonic little smile of his.
Testimony.
You want to go for a coffee for closure with your ex-lover? It's 4 in the afternoon. It's not like I was there unannounced. You announce yourself to somebody you have a relationship and a romance with for months and months, and we have many friends in common. It's normal.
Actor.
She could be crazy, right? I don't know. But we know Alec is, right?
Actually cried in a New York City courtroom this morning as he described his living nightmare.
It was a living nightmare. It was the worst day of his life. It was the worst time of his life, until he shot a coworker accidentally, in air quotes.
Isn't marriage a gunfight sometimes?
Baldwin, the debonair star of 30 Rock, claims he was stalked by this woman, a two-bit Canadian actress named...
A two-bit Canadian actress. She's not a one-bit or a three-bit. She's a two-bit Canadian actress.
Genevieve Sabourin.
And I've said loud and clear that I'm innocent since day one.
Since day one, she said, again.
Baldwin claims she would bombard him with up to 30 text messages a night.
30 text messages a night from this woman.
Here's one. Say I do to me. He says she showed up at his Hamptons home, that she bombarded him with salacious emails, and here's a taster dished up in court.
There's a taste of what she dished out.
I want to feel you, taste you, and make one with you for eternity.
Oh my God, it's terrifying. She's so terrifying.
Ay, ay, ay.
Cravings here, okay.
See.
Ay, ay, ay.
See.
Ay, ay, ay.
See.
I will nourish you with my energy, power, and magic.
Wow, she's magic. Like, that is terrifying. She's a witch.
She offered all this and more in exchange for a new house in New York and Montreal, a new wardrobe, car, and jewels.
Sounds terrifying, right? He definitely needs to send her to jail because she's willing to provide him with all this nourishment and magic if she gets a car and some jewels.
In one email, she simply states, I want to be your wife. Now.
Now, not later, now.
Last year, Sabourin was arrested outside Baldwin's Manhattan home. She claims it was a misunderstanding, that she and Baldwin were once lovers.
You want to go for a coffee for closure?
So she's saying she loves her. Of course, she sounds crazy, but Alec Baldwin, is, he's got his own issues.
Oh, she's a white girl? Yes, I am a white girl. I am a white girl. And
So, for example, my wife's on the phone with her hairdresser or her friend. She's like, really? Okay, I can't wait to see you. That's going to be great. Fantastic. What time? 12 o'clock? My wife is from Spain. And she said, blah, blah, blah.
Let's turn to the woman accused of stalking Alec Baldwin.
As she gets sent to the slammer, did Alec lie to the court?
I'm sure he did. He's a liar.
Genevieve crushed outside the courthouse. Baldwin not there.
The system.
Where is Baldwin when you need him? Is he out shooting coworkers or yelling at his Spanish wife from Boston, who's a white girl from Boston named Hillary Thomas?
We have very few ingredients. We have tomatoes. We have, how do you say anything? Cucumbers.
It's crushing me like it would crush any middle-class people.
Inside, she was shouting in court, then held in contempt. The judge slapped Genevieve with 30 days in jail starting
30 days.
Tonight.
I'm in jail since the beginning of this process, which is nearly 2 years.
Famed L.A. prosecutor Rhonda Saunders wrote California's stalker law and tells
She knows about stalker law.
ET the outburst will hurt the defense.
The jurors generally are turned off.
They're turned off when you start screaming like a maniac with an accent. Alec liked them girls with accents.
We have red pepper. We have, of course.
It's not easy, and I think part of it is that I'm in shape before I have a baby, and then I stay active when I'm pregnant. And I'm not trying to stay thin. I'm just trying to keep my circulation going and stretching and keep my muscle tone up.
Are not impressed. They are not persuaded.
The case is about sex, lies, and emails.
Sex, lies, and emails.
According to Baldwin's attorney, Genevieve sent harassing messages like, "I will get you. You have humiliated me for the last time."
She's going to get him.
So who is lying about sex? The story, front page news. Yesterday, Baldwin testified that she was producer Martin Bregman's mistress.
Brightman's mistress, not Alec. He didn't have any part of that.
Says Baldwin was the two-timer. I talked with Martin Bregman on the phone today, and he was upset with Baldwin, saying, quote, "He threw me under the bus." Bregman also said he did
Brightman
not have a sexual relationship with the woman, that Baldwin lied. He said, quote, "I'm embarrassed for him." As for Genevieve, he said, quote, "She's absolutely crazy now."
Not before. She was a good mistress for the both of them, but now she's crazy.
Saunders, who is also the author of Whisper and Fear, says typically stalkers never give up.
They may be put in jail.
They just don't. Stalkers don't quit, right? Rehab is for quitters.
They may be put into therapy, but they'll be back again.
They'll be back again, Baldwin.
If a stalker stops, generally it's because they found themselves another victim.
That is a scary thought, and you can...
It's scary. It's so terrifying. I can see why Alec Baldwin was weeping. You know, he's such a compassionate crier.
It just doesn't seem real to me.
His voice cracking with emotion and
he's crying. Poor Alec.
Wiping away tears.
Wipe away those tears of shame.
Alec Baldwin speaks about accidentally killing his cinematographer.
You know, it was an accident. Come on. Everyone has some accidents now and again.
And now this alleged stalker was ordered to stay away. She's no longer allowed to text, call, or email.
She can't communicate with Alec anymore. How did she get his number?
Striking and blonde, 40-year-old Genevieve Sabarin hardly fits the profile of a celebrity stalker.
Yeah, but Alec Baldwin hardly fits the profile of a guy who shoots his coworker on the set of his movie. He's no ordinary dude. Plus, his wife doesn't fit the profile of being of Spanish heritage, since genetically and ethnically, she has no Spanish blood or culture.
We're having a baby. It was a surprise, a wonderful surprise.
And one time at band camp.
It was a surprise, a wonderful surprise.
And one time at band camp.
It was a surprise, a wonderful surprise.
Well, there was a scream I heard, which is the scream that's normally reserved if there's a spider in the house on Long Island. I'm not exaggerating.
But the one-time actress is accused of stalking Alec Baldwin, sending him dozens of emails and trying to confront him 3 times in 2 weeks.
3 times in 2 weeks, terrifying.
Scaring the actor so much, he called police and had her arrested.
Celebrities are just like everyone else.
She keeps on showing up, this Rhonda Saunders.
When they're being stalked, they're very fearful. They're afraid for themselves. They're afraid for their families. They're afraid for the people around them.
Open file 1017 MM.
Alec Baldwin.
The two met a decade ago on the set of The Adventures of Pluto Nash. Sabarin was a publicist for the sci-fi comedy. Baldwin had a cameo role. But court records also show their relationship extended beyond the set. They had dinner in 2010.
Don't go to dinner with Alec because he's likely to get you arrested for being a stalker or shoot you. You know, it's a risky behavior.
And after that, Baldwin received a series of email and text messages from Sabaran, each one seeming to get more bizarre and threatening, from saying she wanted to borrow money to wanting to have his baby.
Well, we're having a baby. How about that for a project?
She wanted to have his baby, but hilarious doing that job.
Then on March 31st, court records say she actually showed up at Baldwin's home in the Hamptons in New York. That was the same weekend he proposed to his girlfriend, Hilaria Thomas.
Wow, it's a very auspicious day. Hillary Thomas, you know, she's Spanish.
So the first part of the book is philosophy on how to live very namaste. I have 3 little babies. I live kind of a crazy life between work and them and everything else. So it's just, you know, how to stay calm and centered and deal with things that are coming at you. Then we could talk about food.
On April 4th, records show Sabaran sent this email to Baldwin. I need to start my new life with my new name. Help my newly husband, you.
That's some crazy talk. He's already marrying Hilaria. Hilaria.
Consider the source.
All right, so I think I got most of my memes in there. But, you know, Alec, you know, this is a very telling story. Now, in retrospect, with all the scandals, 2 years ago, this was, you know, Alec Baldwin was stalked. And now it's, well, Alec Baldwin is shady M&F-er. And anything he was involved in before, I mean, this woman, you know, she seemed kind of crazy. And, I mean, she was whatever she was. But now Alec Baldwin is, you know, clearly a part of it. Like whatever affair he had with her, whatever went on there, you know. Alec isn't, his hands aren't clean in this thing or anything else. So this is from page 6. Female CNN staff furious. Allison Ghoulust still has a job after Jeff Zucker affair. Here's the article, same headline. And there's the picture. Here's the 2 lovebirds in question, Jeff Zucker and Allison Ghoulust towering over him. And this guy, is that Fareed Zakaria? There's Don Lemon. And so, is that is Don Lemon. Who's this dude? He's looking back at him. And there's the Ghoulust. And he was banging her, or she was banging him. I don't know. I don't know how it works. Like, I'm just, you know, this story isn't going to die anytime soon. Conspiracy charges possible for filing bogus Trump election slates, experts say. So there's a conspiracy here. These guys are conspiracy theorists who say that, you know, it's okay to have a conspiracy about Trump because, you know, that's how it works. And then the Washington football team, formerly known as the Washington Redskins, is now the Washington Commanders. They're from Washington, D.C., and they command stuff. They should have just called them the Washington Controllers. ABC suspends The View host Whoopi Goldberg for saying Holocaust was not about race. Whoopi Goldberg's co-host reportedly furious over suspension from The View. I have a little video I took of this last night.
So yesterday on our show, I misspoke. Actor and The View host Whoopi Goldberg repeatedly apologizing for the misinformed and hurtful comments she made about the Holocaust on Monday. It happened during a debate about a Tennessee school board banning Maus, a graphic novel about the atrocities committed during the Holocaust.
Let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. No. It's not about race.
It's about a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
That drew immediate backlash. The head of the Anti-Defamation League writing, "No, Whoopi Goldberg, the Holocaust was about the Nazis' systematic annihilation of the Jewish people, who they deemed to be an inferior race. They dehumanized them and used this racist propaganda to justify slaughtering 6 million Jews." Goldberg tweeted an apology Monday and apologized again last night.
I did it to myself. This was my my thought process, and I will work hard not to think that way again.
Goldberg taking more responsibility for her comments again on Tuesday.
Words matter, and mine are no exception. I regret my comments, as I said, and I stand corrected. I also stand with the Jewish people, as they know, and y'all know, because I've always done that.
And so I was thinking about this. Can you be both a race and religion? Because for racism, it has to be two different races, right? There is religious persecution, which happens when one religion or one group persecutes another group based in religion, right? Based in differences in religion. And then there's ethnic cleansing, where one ethnicity cleanses another ethnicity. This could be the people share a race, that they're both Caucasian or whatever it is. They're both African. But there is, ethnicities that are cleansed, based in ethnicity. So in terms of abuse, in terms of all these types of things, there's these various ways of categorizing it, right? And then there's racism, where one race dominates another race in some way, abuses another race. And so for Judaism, which is considered a religion, when I look at these, when they ask you what race you are on some form, they don't say Judaism as a race, right? And it, as far as I know, there were Jewish Germans, German Jews that were there in the Holocaust, right? This is my understanding. And they were Caucasian. They were white. The Germans were white. And that it was based in religion, right? And if you're going to if you're going to convert to Judaism or some other religion, it doesn't affect your race. There's lots of African Jews, black Jews, Asian Jews. I mean, from every country around the world, there's going to be some Jewish people of various races. And if you convert to any religion, you still retain your race. When you have to fill out a form, you're going to say, this is my race, and it's going to be whatever it is, right? Your religion doesn't change your race. And so I don't know how something could be both a religion and a race. I mean, I don't understand the controversy here. I mean, it seems almost like there's a bunch of other, before that CNN was talking about other stories involving anti-Semitism. And so there's a wave of anti-Semitism, and it said the ADL, which tracks anti-Semitic acts or something like this, says there's been more lately than any other time in history, I guess after the Holocaust. But, Whoopi is going all over the place and apologizing. This is some major story. And people are being called for her to be fired. And, really, this is what we're doing now? Because she wasn't denying the atrocity based in what I saw. She was only it was saying that it wasn't based in race. It wasn't racism. And so that's a cancel culture, fireable offense if you say something like that now. Is that, is that the direction we want to take this thing? Because, Whoopi is certainly woke, liberal, almost like this is some stage type of event, just to bring this into awareness, because everybody's outraged all the time now and everybody's being canceled. And there's just so much victim consciousness around. This is the way of the world. And anybody, you can't say anything anymore without someone misinterpreting it or not including intentions, or, especially for these famous people. And, I don't believe that this is a very controversial statement. This is where we are. And, I want to take this back to, I had a good meditation last night, the first sitting for Lology, the Lology sitting. Now there's going to be a gathering coming up, and there's some news. I just had a conversation with somebody I've known for a while in Heartfulness, who's been watching my videos on and off for years, and he had some news, and I want to talk about that in some videos, Lology things coming. So I have a whole big new addition to the Journey series coming up, all these things, right? And, there was a book called My Master by the third master of the system, Master Charji, who wrote it about Babaji, who was his, master and the second president or first president of the Heartfulness system, the Sage Mark system. And one of the chapters was called Patience and another was called tolerance, right? I remember, you know, like there was a time Chargy was giving a talk and he said, you know, patience is how I tolerate you all, right? You know, and there just needs to be that in any situation, right? And now that's disappearing. Like people are losing patience and tolerance for other people. And it is purposeful because like everybody in America is just like ready to go. I mean, things have become so polarized on every level, you know, beyond just, you know, politics or race or religion or all these things. Of course, everything to do with COVID and the demonization of, you know, one group of people who, you know, don't agree with the official story. And like everyone's just tired of other people here, right? And there's no patience and tolerance. There's no grace. And it's rewarding complainers, people who are not very good people who are complaining all the time, who are constantly saying they're being victimized, and they're canceling people. You know, the stuff I just did another video about Joe Rogan, trying to cancel him. Anybody who's offended, you know, the people who are offended, you know, if something's been done to them, sure, right? If you've been wronged, sure. You know, if you legitimately have been wronged, but oftentimes the people who are claiming to be wrong are horrible people, and they're just making the world a worse place every day of their lives. And they're, you know, they're complainers, they're the squeaky wheels or whatever it is. You know, you see this across the board, especially coming from the left, and you have these various demographics that are finding new ways to be offended, right? When people are like, oh, I'm offended, you know, like at some point you're like, all right, you're the problem, right? You know, when people are constantly saying they're offended, and that's what everyone says now. Oh, I'm offended, you know, and this is, instead of saying, well, maybe it's the complainers, you know, as an individual, if you're at a job and, you know, or in a family or in a social situation, and you're constantly saying you're being wronged and you're constantly saying you're offended, at some point everyone starts looking at you as the problem, right? You know, I've talked about abuse, and there's an abuser and a victim, and if somebody is a perpetual victim and views themselves as a victim and is always, you know, using victim consciousness and using it to manipulate and force their way, if you have an individual doing that or groups of people doing that, you know, at some point they're in this cycle of abuse and victimization, instead of saying, hey, maybe, you know, these things that are happening are coming from God, right? Maybe these things I'm drawing to myself. And sometimes people, you know, want these things to happen, and they create the circumstances for them to happen, that they're offended in some way, or they just misread this situation. The lens in which they view the world is that people are constantly out to get them. And there's people like that, you know, paranoid people that are looking at the world in such a hostile way. Of course, people suck, so, you know, there's a lot of aggression out there. So both things are true. You know, people are getting offended, or people are being wronged. People are being wronged all the time. But then there are people who are constantly claiming they're wronged when, you know, being wronged is debatable, right? At least in terms of what they're, you know, talking about. And maybe they have been wronged, but if they have been wronged, does the punishment to the person that wronged them fit the, you know, is it equal to the wronging, right? And so, you know, in the heartfulness system, it's a lot about, you know, the two maxims of miseries as divine blessings, and treat the wrongs done by others as heavenly gifts, because it exposes things inside of you, anger, hatred, you know, all these intolerances that people have. You know, I was angry last night after the sitting. You know, these heartfulness sittings will oftentimes pull out anger or pull out, you know, a negative emotion. And, you know, I've learned to just sort of sit with it and not allow it to, like, you know, incubate and, you know, dominate my emotional state. I just pass through it and allow it to be cleaned from my system. And I've had all these negative things cleaned out of my system in this way. And it's a much more mature way of dealing with it. Not that people who are sucky in your life don't suck, because they do. There's people who suck, and, you know, and their suckiness is their problem. And you're not wrong to feel bad about their suckiness, and oftentimes their suckiness hurts you. But you can also look at it as coming from God, as a way to move you closer to the source and, you know, your soul to go farther down its path, which is a, you know, wonderful teaching, you know, beautiful principle. But anyways, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Roboto, definitely reporting from the Apocalaughs and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.